media session for Monday, September 26th. Just a reminder, if you do have questions for our coaches, please utilize the raise your hand feature here on Zoom to get your question in the queue. We ask you please leave your line muted until you are actively asking a question. Please wait to be called upon before asking your question. We're going to have a slight adjustment to our schedules today. As you all know, we do have a robust schedule of games coming up, with one of them being the State Fair Classic featuring Grambling State and Prairie A&M. Those two coaches conference this morning for the event, so we will be moving their media availability to the end of our call. Coach Hugh Jackson, 12:05 to 12:15. Coach Bubba McDowell, 12:15 to 12:25. Remaining time slots each week will remain the same for the remainder of our head coaches outside of Coach Jackson and Coach McDowell.
Recording in progress.
Take a few minutes now to recap our scores from around the Southwestern Athletic Conference for week 3 of competition. UTSA defeated Texas Southern by a score of 52-24. Bethune-Cookman over Grambling State by a score of 36-19. Jackson State defeated Mississippi Valley State by a score of 49-7. Florida A&M defeated Alabama A&M by a score of 38-25. Prairie A&M defeated Alabama State by a score of 24-15. And Alcorn State over Arkansas Pine Bluff by a score of 38-21. We'll pause here for a few minutes, allow our other media participants an opportunity to join us on the call. We'll be back momentarily. Thank you for your patience. Once again, for all of our media participants on our call today, we ask that you please keep your lines muted until you're called upon to ask your questions. We ask you please limit your questions to 2 initial questions, 1 question, potentially a follow-up question. If we do get an opportunity to work our way back around, if we have time with our coaches' availability, we will do so to get you an opportunity to ask your remaining questions. With that being said, happy to be joined by Alabama A&M head coach Maynor. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. Coach, as always, thanks so much for taking some time to join us. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Florida A&M.
Yeah, we went down to Tallahassee, and of course we knew that Coach Simmons got a good football team. We have those guys ready to play. It's tough to win there. They was on an 11-game home winning streak, and they backed us against the wall because they already had 1 conference loss. So we knew we was going to get their best shot, and we was able to withstand that early, the first quarter and the first half, and we had the opportunity right before the half. We scored and went up 19-7 with a minute and 15 seconds. And thought that was a big drive because they took it down and scored and made it 19-14 before half because we was getting the ball coming out at halftime. So we could have got a stop there. I think that was a huge drive in the game, giving up that touchdown there because we could have went in 19-7 and we getting the ball coming out the second half. So, but we didn't do it. Take your hats off to those guys. They kept fighting. And then we came out second half and went 3 and out, and they took it down and scored, and we never saw the lead again. So congratulations to Coach Simmons and his staff for doing a great job of their game plan and finishing it off. And we got to go back to the drawing boards and keep working, man.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Maynor. We'll now open up the questions for Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coach Maynor started off, like you said, in the first half, making some plays in terms of your quarterback being able to be elusive and getting it done on the run game in a lot of ways. But key turnovers, third quarter, really put the game differently, as you talked about going into halftime. That kind of made it tough. In terms of what you wanted to do on third down efficiencies, how costly was your inability to be able to keep the ball, particularly in the second half, and matriculate down the field?
Well, when we look at it, Doc, it cost us a football game because we was able to do that in the first half. Well, we had probably 18, 19 minutes of the first half. We controlled the ball and kept our defense off the field, kept their offense off the field. And I'd say that was a huge drive right before half. And then the second half, we weren't able to sustain drives and get those first downs on third down. And we had a couple of turnovers and turned the momentum, got that crowd back in the game, got those guys fired up, and just able to overcome it in the second half.
When you look at it in terms of total offense of what FAMU was able to get in that game totally, it may not seem like it, but what are your thoughts in terms of what your defense is able to do and what is going forward against Bethune-Cookman?
Well, I think defense is playing hard, and we just got to bear down in certain spots. Again, like before the half, we can't go a touchdown right there. We got to understand the urgency and the importance of that drive, and somebody got to go out and make a play. The most we can give up in that situation is a field goal opportunity. We missed a couple of tackles. We blew a couple of coverages. At the end of the day, that's how most defenses get beat: long coverages or missed tackles. But again, not going to take anything away from Coach Simmons and FAMU. They did a great job of scheming us and executing and making plays, and they made more plays than we did.
Thank you, Coach. Mr. Andrew Roberts, do I have time to ask a follow-up question?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I want to ask a little bit more about Bethune-Cookman. Have you got a chance to get into the film room and check what they were able to do against Grambling? And what are you looking at in terms of that matchup for another home contest?
Coach Sims, man, I know Coach Sims. We go way back from the MEAC days, and we got a good relationship. He's a great football coach, and he got his team playing well. They're 1-0 in the conference, and everything's ahead of them. So they got their eye on the prize. They're playing well on both sides of the ball and special teams. The defense is flying around. And offensively, the quarterback's a dual threat guy. They can run the ball. They got some explosive wide receivers. So we got our work cut out for us, man. It's going to be a great challenge. But we look forward to the challenge, and we'll be ready to play on Saturday.
No doubt. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Currently taking questions for Coach Maynor with Alabama A&M. If you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Do we have any final questions for Coach Maynor? Coach Maynor, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be joined by Alabama State head coach Eddie Robinson. Coach Robinson's availability will begin in approximately 5 minutes at 10:15. Thank you for your patience. All right, thank you for your patience. Happy to be joined by Alabama State head coach Eddie Robinson Jr. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How's it going?
Great, Coach. Appreciate you. Coach, if you would please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing there at home versus Prairie View.
Yeah, had a home game against Prairie View. Good attendance. Guys played hard. Got off to a 7-6 start. Prairie View scored first. We came back with a touchdown, had the extra point block. We knew those guys were great at that. We didn't rise up to the occasion to make that happen. Late in the second quarter, we kind of driving down, had a bad snap, unforced error, a penalty. Unforced error with the turnover. And then Prairie View did a great job of coming with a sudden change play. Caught one of our corners squatting, got over his head. So then instead of us potentially going up at halftime, we were down 14-6 at halftime and kind of exchanged a couple field goals and touchdowns at the end. But they were able to hang on to a 24-15 victory. Disappointing loss for us just because we had too many turnovers, 2 for 6 in the red zone. So did a great job rushing the football. Ja'Cory Merritt, 140 yards, running the football hard. Made some plays offensively, but at the end of the day, I think the red zone offense is what killed us. We got down there inside the red zone too many times. I think we had 2 turnovers and also missed 2 field goals. So left a lot of points on the board. So we'll kind of recap, get things going. Just have to put the ball in the end zone. That's the biggest thing for us right now. Going on the road next week against Texas Southern. So, that involves a travel, flight and everything with the logistics of moving to a different location. So we just have to rise up to the occasion of playing another tough Texas team. And Coach McKinney has those guys right in the thick of it in the West, with the 1-1 record. So we know that they have aspirations to get to the SWAC championship game, and so do we. So after dropping this first game, we just have to pick it up and get things going.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Robinson. We'll now open up for questions. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Rob.
Good morning.
I'm well. I appreciate that. Wanted to talk a little bit about the inefficiencies in the red zone that you mentioned. When you get into practice this week, is there a focal point, or is that something that just took place in that game and you just continue to work through your normal practice apparatus?
No, we've been pretty good in the red zone early on throughout the year. Field goal kicker, he hasn't had a lot of attempts, but he's made them in practice. He's a freshman, so just one of those things. He corrected it. He's a try-hard kid, so he wants to please the coaches. So he probably kicked about 100 kicks the next day, and one of those type of guys who works hard at it. I think from an offensive standpoint, we just have to come up with an identity. Are we going to be a power team? Are we going to run mesh routes? What are we going to do? And just be good at it. And so I think that's to be the situation. So we ran the football well, like I said, between the 20s. But once we got down there, we just have to be more efficient and understand from the quarterback position, you can't have turnovers in the red zone. Incomplete pass in the red zone won't kill you. We got to take the points when we can get them, use our legs and those type of things. So it's certain things that we feel like we can do better. So we just have to translate that to the players and get that worked out this week.
Certainly, Coach, as you move going back to Houston, in some ways it's like going home for you in terms of at least where you resided lately, obviously where you played some football at the professional level. How do you feel about that part of it in conjunction of making sure the team is prepared to play a solid football team?
Yeah, so you're not the first person to ask me that. So for me, it's another road game, and I don't think any of the guys on this team realize that I have a house that's 5 miles away from Texas Southern's campus, nor do they care. So it's about the guys on the field going out there to play a game. The fact that I spends a lot of times in Houston and have a son that's in high school there, all of that's my problem. Individually, that's not the team's issue. So that's not anything that we'll bring up during the week. We're there to play Texas Southern, and me and some other coaches who may have personal relationships in Houston, that's not a factor.
Understand, Coach. Mr. Andrew, may I ask one follow-up question?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Coach Robinson, if you allow me to talk a little bit more about Texas Southern in the matchup. They've seen to move forward a little bit offensively, opposed to what they were able to do in the game against Prairie View. Can you talk about what you see in Andrew Body and pretty effective in terms of getting this team moving over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, watching a lot of Texas Southern football, watched him play in high school, realized the type of player he was, very accomplished down there in Corpus. And so he's only going to get better each game. I think you definitely have to control him because he can beat you throwing and running. He's a very effective runner. He's a very smart runner. He knows when to run. 3rd and 8, he's going to run and get the first down. So, I mean, he's a kid that's patient and just getting better every game. I think he has a lot of upside, and he's shown that he's the leader of that football team. And so you have to control him. He has to be your focal point. But at the same time, they have physical backs who can run the football. So similar game plan like Prairie View had, but we just have to get better at what we have to do. But if you don't control body, then we'll be in trouble. So we know that that's the guy we have to control.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to the matchup between the two programs, but much like last week, the matchup between two Texas high school quarterbacks, and now we got two more. So I look forward to this matchup. Thank you, Coach.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Next question goes to Ty Miller.
Hey, Eddie, good morning to you. It's Ty Miller.
Good morning, Ty. How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm not sure if Doc or someone else asked you about your quarterback situation. Where does it stand right now?
Well, Demetrius Davis is still a quarterback. I mean, Miles is another guy that played a lot last year. So it's kind of like a quarterback 1 and a 1A. We feel like both of them could get it done. But Demetrius is a young guy. He's still getting in there. I think a lot of anticipation of him being a transfer quarterback and former 4-star and all of that. But I mean, yesterday was his second start. His third start, but his second game. I mean, the Miles game, he was injured on the third play. So really, this was his second full college football game. So he's a redshirt freshman, so he has some growing pains. Made some mistakes in the red zone, but like I said, he's a young guy who's only going to get better and shows the talent and the leadership. But also we have Miles Prairie, who's a 1A guy. I feel like he can be a starter in this conference as well.
A lot of coaches talk about buying in early into the season, and also in your first stint as head coach at Alabama State. Have your players bought in totally to what your program is right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to build that standard, and that's what we're trying to set. We're trying to set a standard to make sure everybody follows to that. And it's like anything. They're going to go outside the lines. It's our job, coaches, to always push them back in. So we 100% bought in. I think you could be a 5 or 10-year coach, and you're still trying to get everybody to buy in. So every year it's a different group of kids, sometimes different group of coaches. So you're always trying to get the buy-in. I feel like we're moving in that same direction. We're cutting down on the personal foul penalties and the undisciplined stuff. So we just have to get better each week. It starts in practice. It starts with going to class, starts with being on time for breakfast check and all of those deals. And that discipline will carry over to the field on Saturday.
All right. Thank you and good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it.
Still taking questions for Coach Robinson with Alabama State. Do we have any final questions for Coach Robinson with Alabama State? Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. A few minutes ahead of schedule, we'll next be joined by Coach Fred McNair at approximately 10:25. Thank you for your patience. Just a quick reminder for our media that most recently joined us on our media session. If you have a question, please utilize the raise your hand question to get your raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. We do ask that you limit your questions to 2 questions, 1 initial question, and then potentially a follow-up. If we do have any time at the end of our coach's availability, we will work our way back to field additional questions. Pause maybe here for another minute, and then we'll be joined by Coach McNair. Thank you for your patience. All right, happy to be joined by Alcorn State head coach Fred McNair. Coach, before we do get started, just would like to pause and let you all know that you are your team and young student athlete is in our thoughts and prayers here with Southwestern Athletic Conference, as we know that you deal with such heavy hearts today. So just want you to know that we're thinking about you all. With that being said, Coach, if you could please just start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Arkansas Pine Bluff.
I appreciate that, Mr. Andrews, for those comments about the young man family. It was tough outing on Saturday. Arkansas Pine Bluff, Doc Gamma had those guys ready to play. The first half, we find ourselves down 14-10 at halftime and came back late in the third quarter. We down 21-10. But the character of our guys just showed the effort and the heart to come back and play very hard. The last, I'd say, 20 minutes of the game, was able to come out and score points and win the ball game of 21-38 against a good Arkansas Pine Bluff team. I thought that, Doc Gamble came in and had those guys ready. We started off with an onside kick and in preparation all week. I talked to the kids about all the things that could happen on special teams and some of the things that we should look for during the course of the game and some of the special team stuff that will affect us. And that one of them, the onside kick at the beginning of the game. But it was unfortunate that, he touched the ball before it went 10 yards. So we got the ball back and we scored on a Howard 45-yard run. So it was a great game, great atmosphere. It was a great home SWAC game for us, the first one of the year. So I'm very excited about the win and the character that the young men played during the course of the game. And played with a lot of tough physical. It was a physical ball game. It was very physical. Both sides of the ball.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach McNair. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBC Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach McNair. I want to follow the lead of Andrew Roberts and pass on my condolences and prayers and heart to Mr. Tyler Smith and the rest of the Alcorn State family. I know it's bigger than football at times, and it's certainly an example for you to be able to wrap your hands and us as a conference do that for that young man as we uplift him.
Thank you,
with
Dr.
that, I appreciate that acknowledgement. With that, in terms of the game, talk about the physicality and your ability as a philosophy to want to run the ball, but to stick with the run. A lot of teams, for whatever reason, as the score starts to move along, oftentimes will get away from the run. For whatever reason, over the years, followed your program. That's not something that is done offensively with your team, that you'll stick with the run almost no matter what.
I mean, I have very confidence in what we do up front. I think Coach Ratton does a real good job of getting our offensive line to create holes for the running backs to run in. I think the first half of the ball game, the flow of the game was kind of out of sync. We never could get in a rhythm, not taking anything from Pine Bluff and their defense. We just couldn't get in a rhythm. The first half, play with up tempo and the things that we desired to do the first half. As far as our running game, I mean, we're not going to abandon the run. I mean, I think that our offensive line probably as good as any in terms of what they can do to create running lanes and to gain rushing yards. We had a fourth down and 1 on our own 20, and I elected to go for it because I had confidence in those guys to get that first down, but we kind of missed out on that. We didn't stick to the blocks that we needed to. Didn't get no movement, so it was kind of tough right there, and they stalemated us there. And that was one of the things that we gave them a short field, and they took advantage of it. They scored 7 points on that one fourth down play on inside our own 20. So that's just how I feel about our offense. I think we smashed the ball just as good as anybody, and I think that they understand that, and what we do offensively.
Yeah, extremely effective. And one of those players that were most effective in this game was Mr. Howard, the running back. 24 carries, 295 yards, 12.3 in average with 4 touchdowns, as you're quite aware, with the longest 78 yards. Talk about what makes him so talented in his play.
just his maturity, the way he come to the ballpark, the way he come to practice each and every day. He's relentless in the things that he do. He brings along the other running backs in the room with him. He talks football. It's 24/7, and he teaches them. Reading the linebackers and what they're looking for, and for his run play. So that's one of the things he got a knack for. Been a great runner, and things with his work habit is so great. He worked countless hours, and whether the coach is here or not, get up on Sunday morning, I walk down towards the weight room. He lifting weights. He's just that kind of person. The sky's the limit for him. He's going to be a great running back for somebody here in the near future on the next level because of work habits and the way he ran the football. He ran it hard. You're talking about an Earl Campbell type running back.
Wow.
That won't be denied any yards. So he's that effective. And if anybody's seen the game or watched any highlights of it, they understand why I say that. He's a hard, low gravity runner. Once he reached that second level, it's just about over with because I don't think anybody want to tackle that young man.
Great points, and I did watch it, and very accurate. So thanks for sharing that, Coach.
Next question goes to IC Morrell.
Coach McNair, how you doing?
I'm doing good, sir.
All right. Coach, how did you come up to recruit Jarvion to your program? I understand he started out at Syracuse. How did he end up in Alcorn with you?
The biggest thing is, and I tell Coach about recruiting all the time, and I think we do a real good job of following our recruits that we recruit, even though they go in the FBS level. It's just a relationship that we build with these young men in terms of what we do. I recruited Jarvion out of East Marion High School down in Columbia, Mississippi, when he was coming out. And the biggest thing is, and the young man remembered. He remembered everything. Jarvion was a cornerback coming out of high school. He's very talented. And the thing was, these young men never forget, where they come from. And I think he wanted to come back to Mississippi. So it was one of the things that, he recruited Alcorn. And the thing is that when you build a relationship with the young men and if they do go to the FBS level, just always tell them, if there's anything that you're missing here, we're here. If you want to come back home, we're here, So I'm gonna stay on these guys all the way through, just continue to talk to them, and we're their friends, and we're here for them if they decide to come back home. So that's the relationship that we have. That's how we recruited Jarvion. And once he got in the portal, we snatched him right out, and this is a place he wanted to be. He wanted to be here at Alcorn. So we are fortunate enough to get him and have him as our running back and doing the great things that he's doing on the football field and off the football field. He's one of the nicest person that you ever want to talk to. Very intelligent young man. So we're great to have him on our staff, on our team.
Coach, it was 21-10 UAPB up at one point. What did you do schematically to change things and spring Howard a little bit more? Because he scored on 3 straight drives.
They was tough on the inside, and that's one thing that we made some adjustment at halftime and came back out and tweaked some stuff a little bit to get him a little more free. I know once we got him past the first level, his instinct of running is very good, and he manipulate those linebackers to go where he don't want them to go, so he can create the lane. But the way our offensive line, they block and they combo blocks and all things of that nature, man, they work great together, just to create that lane on that first level to get him free to the second level, So just the amount of adjustment we made during halftime to be able to come back out and run the ball very, very well the second half and free him up a little bit more.
Thanks very much, Coach.
Currently taking questions for Coach McNair with Alcorn State. We do have time for one more question.
Mr. Andrew Robbins, I'd like to follow up with a question.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Coach McNair, I wanted to talk about your quarterback, Aaron Allen, the junior quarterback transfer, another transfer out of Texas Talk about his play thus far this season.
I tell you what, he's managed the game very well and doing the things we asked him to do. He only gonna get better as a quarterback, and Coach Phillips has done a great job of working on the things that he need to work on in terms of getting him better. He played well. He didn't lose the game for us, or nothing like that. So I'm pretty pleased with what he's doing, and I want to see great things coming out of him as the season progress. He's only gonna get better during the course of this year. Just looking for that breakaway game for him to really have more confidence than he have, and just to get better at that position.
Thank you, Coach McNair.
Thank you.
Coach McNair, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, we'll be joined by Coach Sims with Bethune-Cookman. You see Coach has joined us.
How's it going?
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Coach, as always, we appreciate you taking some time to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Grambling State.
Well, first and foremost, I have to say that, Coach Grambling came in with a talented football team. You can't take anything away from them with that. They came in ready to play. I think we had our first complete football game as a team. We scored in all three phases. Our guys played together as a team, and we made the plays that we were supposed to make. Didn't play a perfect game. Still have a lot of things to clean up, but I do believe that the game we played on Saturday, it set us in the right direction.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Sims. We'll now open up for questions. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Sims.
Good morning.
You were pretty effective with your run game in terms of that side of the ball. Talk a little bit about some of those guys getting it done in terms of running the ball effectively, offensive line and the running back.
Well, the first couple of weeks we were missing a couple of guys. We had some guys that got banged up in camp, and we were just getting them back offensive line wise. And those were guys that were used to playing together. So having Cedric Jackson back, having Antoine Wells being closer to 100% than he was the first couple of weeks, I think it was great. I think it was great watching those guys play together, and they understand the standard here, and they understand what's required of them. So I think that had a lot to do with our running game on Saturday.
Talk about next week's matchup as you hit the road. You go to Alabama A&M in Huntsville. Talk about what you want to get done against the Alabama A&M Bulldogs.
Well, I think, a lot of the same from this last week. You have to establish the run. I think once we do that, then we just have to get the ball in the hands of our playmakers. Defensively, we cleaned a lot of things up. I think we still have some things that we have to straighten out, and we're doing those as we speak. And I think special teams wise, we'll still put a big emphasis on special teams, which we always have since I've been here, because that's a important phase of the game. If you don't focus on special teams, it could cost you a football game. So we just want to continue to execute and play Wildcat football. We're a little bit displaced right now. They're evacuating the campus, so we're trying to figure out where we're going till we get to Huntsville.
All right, take care and be safe. Good luck
Thank you.
this weekend. Thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to Donald Ware.
Good morning, Coach Sims. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Doing pretty good. What is it? It seems like when your teams come off bye weeks, you either win, at least it seems that way, or you play much better. Is there a certain philosophy you have during the bye week, or is there something specific that you all worked on during this particular bye week?
No, our bye weeks are the same. I think, what we do is what we do. We take everything back to square one. Our coaches take their time. We go back to day one install. We go back to all of our fundamentals, and we take it slow with our team, and we allow guys to, one, get healthy, but two, get a better grasp of their job and of the offense, defense, or the special teams unit that they're on.
I don't know. Generally, I mean, the years you've been coaching at Bethune, has your bye week ever come this early?
No, it hasn't. This was the first, but I think it was at a great time for us for where our program is right now.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next question goes to Thomas Freeman.
Coach Sims, this is Skip Foreman with HBCU Game Day. You alluded to the preparations on campus in advance of Hurricane Ian. What sort of impact does it have on what is usually routine but is now being disrupted because of a storm?
It's not disrupted. We just have to pack up and move to another location. We always talk to our players about it, and I tell them, anytime anything comes up that we can't handle, we control the things we can control. We can't control the storm, so we just have to pack up and move our operation to another site, which we already have secured, and we'll finish our week out and travel to Huntsville on Friday and get ready to play the football game.
Are you elsewhere in the city? Have you moved out of town? Can you give any details on what it is exactly you've done to get your practice in this week?
We're in Never Land. No, I'm just we're going. We have about 3 different locations right now. A couple of them are already in Alabama. We just have to wait until we see. I guess they said after lunch to see what the storm, the eye of the storm, is doing, or where the cone is, and we'll make a decision then, and we'll get out of here tomorrow. But we're still on campus today.
Ultimately, your goal is Alabama. Somewhere.
Yes.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Apologies for the mispronunciation of your name. Currently
I've been called worse.
Yes, sir. Currently taking questions for Coach Sims with Bethune-Cookman. Next question goes to Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Sims, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hey, sort of an odd question here, but did your team think it's strange that Grambling had no G's on the helmet?
I think it took them a minute to figure it out too. They were asking. They actually asked some of the players on the field, so it was a little different. But again, none of our business. So we just had to stick to what we needed to do, and that was play Wildcat football and make sure that we were taking care of our business.
Follow-up question: being that you got the win this weekend over a good team like Grambling, have you turned the corner?
No, I won't say we turned the corner. We played okay, played decent. Still, too many penalties. Still, too many MAs for me. So we have not turned the corner. We still have work to do, and we'll clean a lot of that stuff up this week.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Brandon King.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing? I'm still muted. Can you hear me? Morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. King. I think we might have some technical difficulties there with Coach's audio and video.
Okay.
Appreciate your patience.
No problem, Mr. Roberts.
Is he there?
Okay, we can hear you. Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, Mr. King.
Coach, how you doing?
I'm great. And you?
All right. Congratulations on the win last week. I noticed in the previous games you used multiple quarterbacks. It looked like this week Mr. Jones was out there for the majority of the snaps. Over the bye week, did he separate himself from your other quarterbacks, and has he kind of cemented himself as your starter going forward?
I think he has done a decent job of leading our offense and making sure that we're doing the things we need to do to move the offense forward. We have not thrown out the multiple quarterback system. I think that's something that's been good for us for a while around here. He just had the hot hand on Saturday. He was doing a decent job with the offense, so we didn't, see any fit to put another guy in there at that point in time.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck and safe travels down to Alabama this week.
Thank you.
Coach Sims, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll be joined by Florida A&M head coach Willie Simmons. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Alabama A&M.
We're really proud of the guys for how we responded the second half. I thought the first half we had a lot of self-inflicted wounds. Offensively, just didn't play with the level of execution that we're capable of playing with. Defensively, aside from a quarterback draw that went for about 80, I thought they played really solid football for the entire game. And special teams, we didn't play our best game, but came out the second half, and I think for the first time all season, probably played our most complete 30 minutes. So proud of the guys for that, and building a lot of momentum. Good to be, back in the win column in conference play, and getting ready for a tough Mississippi Valley State team that, much like last week, their record doesn't indicate the quality of football team they are, because they're a dangerous football team, as they've shown, and since Coach Dancy has been there.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Simmons.
Good morning, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Looked really well in terms of Jerry Musa, 23 of 41, 343 yards on 3 touchdowns. Obviously, Xavier Smith had a big game as well in terms of what he was able to get in the end zone for 3 touchdowns on the back end of those receptions, 8 for 96. Talk about those 2 young men and how they played in that game in totality.
Yeah, I thought both Xavier Smith and Jamari Shareed had big-time games. We knew going in that A&M was going to challenge our guys, play a lot of man coverage, and, that's kind of been our Achilles heel the first 3 weeks. So we really challenged our receivers all last week and throughout the bye week to just play fast. We have guys that can run. They're not the biggest receivers in the world, but they can really run. And so we really just challenged them to play fast. Too much dancing at the line the first few weeks, and I thought those guys did that. And Jeremy was able to find them on some big plays. He even missed a few that probably would have resulted in even bigger plays. But good to see those guys kind of get in the rhythm and make some plays, because obviously now that we've shown that we can beat man coverage, may discourage teams from just trying to load up and come and get us.
Moving on to next week, you hope Mississippi Valley State, second conference game. This one in the division in terms of getting it going. What makes Valley so tough, even though their record doesn't indicate it from a win-loss perspective coming into the matchup at 0-4?
Well, I think they take on the personality of their head coach. I think Coach Dancy is one of, not the most underrated coaches at our level. He brings a lot of passion to the game, a lot of knowledge, in a no-quit mentality. And they're a team that you can be down 2 scores 1 minute, and the next minute it's a tie ball game. They never quit. They just keep coming, keep fighting. And that's a testament to the job that he's done as a head coach there and his staff. But they're always an impressive team to watch because of how they play. Like I said, again, the record doesn't always indicate that. They lost a lot of close ball games over the last couple of years, but again, they're always a team that you got to be mentally and physically prepared for, because they're going to hit you, and they're going to make you play and execute for 4 quarters.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to Mr. Foreman.
Good morning, Coach Simmons.
Hey, good morning.
Hurricane Ian edging closer to a landfall in Florida Panhandle area, possibly. Are you and your program making any special preparations to account for what may happen? And maybe having to practice elsewhere?
Well, we've been in constant communication with our task management team, our crisis management team, facilities staff, everyone involved ever since yesterday. And so we have a plan A, B, C, and D as far as what could happen, with this storm. So whether it's practice, relocating our young men and female students during the week, and even game day preparation are all being discussed. So we'll continue those discussions throughout the week. It's probably too premature right now to make any definitive decisions, but as the week progresses and this thing gets closer and closer to landfall, we'll follow the plan that we feel gives us the best chance to protect our student athletes.
So at this point, it's status quo. You do what you do where you normally do it, and if you have to move, that will be addressed.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And last question, again, Jeremy Musa, a big game. What has he shown you in the progression of games this season that led to this performance?
He's shown us when he sets his feet, he can be as accurate as anybody in America. And when he just plays the game and doesn't try to overthink things, he can, light the scoreboard up as far as, throwing the ball. So and it can be an elite quarterback, I got to coach him better and get him to fundamentally play with his feet underneath him and, just anticipate throws and see what the defense is giving him. But when he does those things, he's as good as any quarterback I've been around.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck and be careful with the hurricane.
Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Coach Simmons with Florida A&M.
But this is, go ahead.
Oh, no, you can go ahead, Doc.
This is Dr. Cavill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with a follow-up question for Coach Simmons. Javon Morgan got an interception. Besides him, what do you see from your defensive side of the ball? Who's standing out?
Well, I think they're playing really good team ball now. Isaiah Major right now, I think second in the conference in tackles. He's been all over the field. Isaiah Land is really starting to pick up some steam now. Got another sack, big tackle for loss, causes some turnovers. And I think those guys are starting to get their confidence back, and I think they're really starting to play at the level that they're capable of. So a lot of it's a team defense. We have to play team defense, and when all of our guys play within the scheme, we can be pretty special on that side of the ball. So, but Javen got his first pick, was good to see. But Isaiah Major right now is playing at a level that I think is definitely all conference caliber, and it's showing he's potentially one of the top linebackers in the country.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to Brandon King.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning, Brandon.
All right. Congratulations on a win last week. The other day. You kind of touched on your defense and how they played better in the second half, as they're really able to shut down Alabama A&M. What was adjustments that you made at the half that was allow you to kind of do that?
Well, just communicate and play with better eye discipline. We got hit on a couple of wheel routes, things of that nature. Taking advantage of the zone defense that we play, and it's just about having great eye discipline. Counting. Our defense is all about counting. Somebody has number 2, someone has 3, 2, somebody has 1, somebody has 2, somebody has 3. And just knowing what those guys are. So we just settled the guys down, made sure that they kept their eyes in the right place. And once we're able to do that, we were able to, have the quarterback have to go to a second and third progression. And we make people do that. Now Isaiah Land can do what he does best. General Hunt, Donald Hall, those guys that we have that can rush the quarterback now get a chance to do that when the quarterback's not just able to get the ball out of his hands on his first progression every time. So great eye discipline and just playing, gap integrity up front allowed us to play a much better second half of ball.
Coach, Mr. Ruff, do I have time for a quick follow-up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I know, was that you mentioned previous weeks in terms of the effort and the discipline that you wanted to see from your ball club. In the second half, was that more aligned of what you wanted to see? And what will be your kind of message to the team going forth to kind of continue with that level of effort and focus?
Yeah, and that's what the halftime speech was all about. It wasn't a rah-rah speech or get out them speech. It was, hey, I mean, guys, we got, good thing about football as well as life. With every day you wake up, you get a chance to get it right. And we had an entire half to get to fix it and get it right and play our brand of football. And that's what we were able to do. And so the message is just that. That's our standard. The way we played the second half is the standard that we've set for ourselves here in all three phases. And so the consistency that it takes to play at that level is what we're all about. Doing it every day in practice, doing it throughout the week in the classroom, in the weight room, and in treatment, in the cafeteria, in our personal relationships, just building those championship habits in everything we do is what it takes to be successful. And so if we commit ourselves to doing that, and that carries over in the game day, we have the talent to be a very special team. And I think we saw a glimpse of that this past weekend.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck this week.
Thank you, guys.
Last question goes to Mia Berry.
Mia Berry with Anscape. How are you today, Coach?
Hey, good morning, Mia.
Good morning. You kind of briefly mentioned Isaiah Land. Obviously, everyone on this call knows what he's capable of, but first couple games has been a little quiet for him. As a coaching staff, how have you guys kind of worked with him, maneuvered him around a little bit to get him a little bit more involved?
Well, obviously, when you have an elite pass rusher like Isaiah Land, there are 14 really good coaches in this conference. 12. I'm sorry, 12 really good coaches in this conference, and a good coach is going to prepare for your best player. And so, going to the game, everyone knows you better find a way to block 31, and you're not going to do that with just one person. So, they're chipping them with running backs, putting tight ends to his side to widen the edge. Anything they can do to try to neutralize him. And until we consistently show that someone else can disrupt the quarterback, he's going to continue to see that. And so his numbers haven't been there as far as the production, the sacks, the tackles for loss, but the effort has been there. He's grading out, just as high as he did last season. But last year we had Savion Williams on the other side. So you couldn't just say you're going to block 31 because number 0 will hurt you as well. We hadn't found that guy consistently, in spurts we have, but consistently we hadn't found that guy on the other side to take some of the pressure off Zay. So again, he hadn't been frustrated. He's committed to just playing good football, and that's all we asking him to do. We're not worried about the sacks. We're not worried about the tackles for loss. Just do your job, right? And he's doing that. He's playing at a high level. The NFL scouts are here right now watching his film, and he may not have the gaudy sack numbers that he had last year, but he's still grading out really highly and showing he can play at a high level. And so that's what we want.
Apologies, Coach. I think you might have been inadvertently muted. Apologies on that.
Yeah. No, I just thought. I mean, we got to challenge the other guys, the other 3, to match his intensity. And if they can do that, then I think you see his numbers be more like they were last year, because right now they're just scheming to try to do the best job they can on the other side to keep him from getting to the quarterback.
I appreciate that, Coach. Thank you, and have a great rest of today.
Thanks, Mia.
Coach Simmons, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Thank you. You have a great week.
Thank you. To all of our media participants, as previously indicated, we've made a slight adjustment to our schedule due to the State Fair Classic press conference that is currently taking place, featuring the game of Prairie A&M versus Grambling State. Coach Hugh Jackson's availability will now be at 12:05 to 12:15. Coach Bubba McDowell will now be 12:15 to 12:25. So we're going to pause here for a few minutes. Next up, we'll be joined by Coach Doc Gamble with Arkansas Pine Bluff. Thank you for your patience. Coach Gamble's availability will begin at approximately 11:05. Thank you for your patience.
Recording stopped.
Next up, we'll be joined by Arkansas Pine Bluff head coach, Doc Gamble. Just a quick reminder to our media that are participating, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your questions in the queue for coach. Please wait until you're called upon to ask your question, and please keep your lines muted unless you're actively asking a question. With that being said, happy to be joined by Coach Gamble with Arkansas Pine Bluff. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. If you could, please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Alcorn State.
I'll say hats off to Alcorn. That was my first time back there on the field since 2012. So it was a nice to get back over there. We played well at times. We played well for up until about 10:53 left in the fourth quarter. We came out, started out fast. We thought we had got a onside kick that got overturned. They took the opening kick. They got the possession, got overturned. They got the possession, took it right to the house. So we were able to even things out because they went for a fourth down on our end of the field and gave us a short field, and then we scored right away, 7-7. Of course, we went into halftime up 11, held that lead for a while, and then went into and started some uncharacteristic things of us as a offensive unit late in the third quarter with some unforced penalties that we got that we were able to stay ahead of the change most of the night, and then we started playing behind the change. That made the night a little bit tougher, and their defense got a little bit more stingier later on. We moved the ball really well against a good coach defense. And then things went really bad for us at about the 10:53 mark of the fourth quarter. We were able to get the ball back, still getting some momentum, playing some good defense at the time, and then we had they were able to get extra possession because of a penalty when our guys jumping over the shield, which is a no-no, something we don't teach. But other than that, they got a man playing running back now, and that Howard kid, we were able to play. That's probably one of our best pass defensive days in a long time here. We were able to do that. We've said some things you want to take away from them, and then some things you're going to have. We knew Howard was a dude. But we didn't think he had the night he had. But some of that is attributed to him and his abilities. We stuffed him quite a bit, but he had those big explosive runs. And some of it, we started fitting it wrong defensively, and then a lot of it is because of him. Some guys didn't want to hit him there late. But we played a physical physical game, and they were very physical. Again, I said it the week before, you're not going to force them to do anything that they won't do. You just got to stop what they're doing. And we did it at times. We just didn't do it all the time. Late in the game, I knew it was going to be a fourth quarter game. They were better in the end, and it was a lot of it due to the best player on the field was number 0 for those.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Gamble. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Coach Gamble, as you talked about in the game, it got away from you, but a lot of that was the physicality. You go in the game, understanding as a part of it. You set up throughout the spring and in the summer camp, getting your team ready for that. How much of a challenge is it a team that committed to the run, and you preaching to your kids about making sure that they focus on stopping that part of the game?
Well, our sport in this game of football, anybody will tell you they want to run the ball first. Now, if are they committed to it or not, that's the thing about it. And they're committed to the run. And they just got to know that. But you always preach that. We speak to our guys. We want to run the ball. We want to run the ball. Everybody tell you that. But at the end of the day, we're going to do what's best to help us move the football. But for them, they're going to stay committed to running the football. And you just got to be committed to the rigors of it for 4 quarters.
Coming into your next matchup, you're on the road, you go to Southern. Last time you were able to go down there, you're pretty successful with Skylar Perry being the quarterback. What do you want to get done against this version of Southern as you move forward this weekend?
We want to get a win. That's what we want to get done. We want to get a win, and different styles of play because we got a different head coach. And when we went down there before, their style of play took on the personality of the head coach. And this team here that we're going to play is going to eventually take on that personality of the head coach. I think he has a creative mind offensively. For them, we got to think about it. They've had an extra week. They had a bye week, so they've had an extra week to prepare. I don't think they'll get away from what he's done in the past. But they've always been real well coached on offense and creative and know where to attack you at. I always hear Coach Dooley say we're gonna scratch where the itch is. Well he knows how to find out where your itch is on the opponent. So he's good at that. And they'll be sound defensively as well. You got a good front four up front, so it'll be a good one. We're looking forward to going down there. It's SWAC play, and it won't be any different from, last week. The difference, for us is to go down there and come back home with a dub.
Thank you, Coach Gamble.
All right.
Next question goes to Jim Kleinpeter.
Hi, Coach.
Hello.
Skylar Perry, it's very seldom that you have a guy with that much experience.
Yeah.
How much does that mean for your offense and knowing that you got a guy that's been through so many SWAC games like him?
It's tremendous. It's the guy, he's been to every venue now. Alcorn was I think the last place he hadn't been besides the two new schools and played. So, besides FAM and Bethune. But other than that, he's seen everything now. To me, he's very heady. I think last week he made a critical mistake late in the game, trying to do too much for the first time in a long time, trying to win the game himself, and he didn't have to do that. That led to their last score. But other than that, he's a guy we roll with, ride with, and he's very heady. He's a football player, and we're happy he's with us.
Thank you.
Next question goes to IC Morrell.
Coach Gamble, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
All good, sir. Thank you. Hey, look, what did you do differently to get Kayvon going like you did in the first half?
We didn't do anything different. We just did what we do, and he got some good ones up front and blocking for him. And then, he doesn't have to have it blocked perfectly. For him, he's a dynamic guy, and you guys, if you watched the game last week, you saw two really good running backs, and really, they played three, but you saw two really good ones, and their guy and our guy. So, and ours is, he's still gaining momentum as far as in growth. And we like him. He's showing what he could have, showing what if he put on display last year as a freshman. Now he's doing it now as a sophomore and playing at even a higher level. But it's for Kayvon too, and I'm getting off your question a little bit. He does it every day in practice, so it's not nothing that's surprising as what's happening in the games for him.
Yeah. And then I know there was the moment where Howard had that 78-yard run. Did you call for a blitz on that? It seemed like your secondary went in for a blitz, and then he just saw a hole in the secondary. Is that kind of what happened?
Even though we didn't, I don't know if we called a blitz or not, but we didn't fit it right. And it wasn't. It's one thing about it with those guys. One guy's out of place, everybody's out of place, and one guy was out of place. That should have fit there in that where he hit it at. So, and he hit another one like that too. So. They put a really they put a strain on your linebacker core. I tell you that your linebackers got to show up and fit it right every single time. And then when they do fit it right, knowing that it's going to be a business decision on contact. So do you take that on or do you run away from it? So I think I told the guys this morning, I say, it's kind of like the old, remember the Titans. When you say don't worry about it, after a while it's like Novocaine, it's gonna numb you. So and that's what they do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Currently taking questions for Coach Gamble with Arkansas Pine Bluff. Any final questions for Coach? Coach Gamble, as always, we appreciate your time. To speak with you again next week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We are just a few minutes ahead of our media availability for Coach Dancy. We will pause momentarily.
Recording in progress.
Happy to be joined by Coach Dancy with Mississippi Valley State. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. Appreciate you. Coach, as always, we appreciate you take some time to join us. Coach, if you would please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Jackson State.
I thought we came out and we executed well, especially that opening drive. We got the ball right out of the gate, took it down and scored. On the opening drive, I thought our defense came out and they did some good things early on in the first quarter. As I mentioned, I thought we played extremely well that first half, but after the first half, it kind of got out of hand for us. Those guys extremely talented, and once the second half kicked in, they was able to establish the run game. They broke a 90-yard run right after halftime, and really kind of broke our backs. And they just kept going. And like I say, man, a very, very good, talented team, well-coached football team, and we just couldn't stick with them for four quarters.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. We'll open it for questions for Coach Dancy. First question, Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Dancy.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I know you talked about offense certainly starting out the game was effective, being able to go down the field and get a score. You made the change with the quarterback last week. Could you give us your overall analysis of how Jamari Jones played in the game?
Early on, I thought he played well. I thought he threw a perfect ball on the post to Jacory for the score. But then, as that second quarter got going, man, those guys they're deep. They're deep up front, and they started to pressure us a lot. In the second quarter, they started to shut down our run game. Started sending more than we can handle. And they started putting some good hits. They started putting some hits on our quarterback, and I thought those licks took a toll on him, especially going into the fourth quarter. We had to pull him because he had I think he had a busted his chin and a tooth was missing. So we had to take him out the game in the fourth quarter. But I thought those licks took a toll on him. But I thought he kind of managed the game. Of course, our passing yard didn't speak for it, but I thought he managed the game well, and he was able to do some things with his legs and able to get us out of some bad situations with his legs. But I thought overall he didn't do bad. We just got to continue to work on our passing game and try to get our passing game up to par as our run game.
Talk about that as you get on the road. You may be going to FAMU. Obviously, the hurricane is out there, and that may change some things. But until notification, what do you see on film in terms of what you want to get done offensively and defensively going up against FAMU Rattlers?
I think offensively, man, we got to continue to just work. I mean, at the end of the day, we can run the ball, but like Jackson State did, they put 8 or 9 people in the box, which kind of eliminated our run game, and we couldn't answer in our passing game. So we got to continue to work on those our passing game, our quick game, our RPOs, and start taking more shots and giving these guys more opportunities to win the one-on-one battles. I think that's what we have to do. And at the end of the day, FAMU is going to be FAMU. They got a good defense. Of course, we know they still, has Isaiah Land, who's a phenomenal pass rusher, but they got some guys in the secondary they can play as well. So we got to continue to just work on us and try to establish something in the passing game when it comes to offense. Defense, I think offensively, we just got to keep our defense off the field. We punted the ball so much this year, and it's kind of wearing our defense down. As many times they have to take the field. So I think it's about us, man. I think, FAMU is going to be FAMU. They're going to do what they do. We prepare for them. We played them last year. They haven't changed much when it comes to schematics. But we just got to make sure that we execute and play like we're supposed to play in order to be able to go down there and win that game at Bragg Stadium.
Mr. Andrew Roberts, can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I want to ask you a little more about Jacory Rankin in terms of his play and what he's able to get done for you. What makes him special when he's able to get going?
He's just a phenomenal kid, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal talent. we've been trying to get him the ball. Of course, that all starts with our quarterback play. We've been trying to get him, put the ball in our playmakers' hands. And once he gets the ball, he's able to do a lot of great things for us. But we got to find a way to create things and create and design things to help him get open. But other than that, man, he's just a phenomenal kid. Whenever he gets the ball in his hand, great things happen. And we've been seeing that the past couple of weeks. So we got to just find ways and design ways to get the ball in Jacor's hand.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Currently taking questions for Coach Dancy with Mississippi Valley State. Again, if you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature here on Zoom to get your question in the queue for Coach. Do you have any final questions for Coach Dancy?
I'll ask the follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
Again, this is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU. Coach Dancy, you start out 0-4. Obviously, you have a lot of confidence. This team continues to push forward. How do you create a framework where your team doesn't start trying to chase a win, if you would, and just play the game? How much of a challenge does that come? Or is that more something that we talk about more from a media standpoint?
On Dr. Kabir, I think every day you go out to practice, you're trying to chase that win. That starts on Tuesdays with us when we go out to practice. That's what you go out. That's what you put in all the hard work for throughout the course of the week to win on Saturday. So chasing that win is something that we're going to always do. But I think we just have to relax and play the way that I know we can play. Like I said, we got a super talented team. We just haven't put it all together yet. Once we put it all together, especially offensively, and we can keep our defense off the field. And once we put it all together offensively, I think you'll see us in that win column. Until we do that, then it's going to be a tough sledding for us. But I think that's what you go out and put in all this hard work for throughout the course of the week, is to go out and win on Saturdays. So we'll never stop chasing the win. We just got to perform like I know we can perform.
Thank you, Coach Dancy, especially for your
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Yes, sir.
Coach Dancy, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So as a quick reminder, we do have an adjustment to our schedule for our coaches. Coach McDowell is at the Prairie View A&M Grambling State Fair Classic press conference, so his availability will now be 12:15 to 12:25. Coach Hugh Jackson will go prior to him at 12:05 to 12:15. Next up at 11:35, we are scheduled to have Coach Dooley with Southern. So we will give our media that had planned to join us for his 11:35 time slot an opportunity to join us, and we will be back momentarily. Thank you for your patience. Once again, for all of our media that are participating, if you do have questions for our coaches participating in our media session, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for coach. Please limit your questions to 2 questions initially, 1 initial question, then 1 follow-up. If we do have time at the end of our coach's availability, we will work our way back around to get additional questions answered. With that being said, happy to be joined by Southern University head coach Eric Dooley. Good morning, coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, coach. As always, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Coach, if you would please just start us out, if you could, with an opening statement, just kind of recapping what was a bye week for your team this past week.
Well, we was able to reflect on some things that we needed to correct to make Southern University a better football team, the better version of Southern University. So I thought we had an opportunity to gain some guys back as well. That wasn't really out for the year or whatever, but just to get healthy as we possibly could, and then had an opportunity to take a look at a very, very good football team in University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
First question goes to Jim Klein-Peter.
Yeah, Coach, I was just curious, did you think about your offense a little more and try to figure out, get some of that straightened out? What kind of things did you do there? What kind of adjustments did you make?
Well, that would be a great question, but I thought about the whole football team and the things that we did. I thought it was very, very in-house. Some things that we needed to correct to make us a better football team, but wasn't nothing that we had to holistically do to change some things around or reinvent the wheel. I just think some things we need to, as I always say, scratch where it itch at, and I thought we had opportunity to do that.
And is Jason Dumas going to be able to play this week?
I hope the whole team that we had on the roster play this week, but we got some guys back that are playing, and we feel real good about the guys that are going to be the line down this Saturday.
Is Jason one of those guys? Because he didn't make the trip last week.
No, he didn't, but I tell you what, we'll find out October 1st.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Lab. Good morning, Coach Dooley.
Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Wanted to ask a little more about this week off in terms of how do you take it? Some coaches go in and do a quick 2 or 3 game evaluation. Other coaches go in and look at specific play calling or different things of that nature, defensive schematics. What do you look at when you have breaks this early in the season?
Well, I thought it was real early, so I thought we had to continue to work on getting game ready because I didn't think we played a full 3 games. When you talk about the very first game that we played, a lot of our guys didn't get a chance to play a full game, so we wanted to be game ready. So we approached this last week as we had a game to play on Saturday, and that's our mindset. So and we always do a self-scout, a 3-game self-scout, regardless of what. So we did have an opportunity to do that as well to better ourselves.
Thank you, Coach. Follow-up question is for Arkansas Pine Bluff if they come to the Bluff themselves. Skylar Perry, mature in terms of his years of participating in SWAC. What are your thoughts in terms of what he will be able to get done in this matchup and how you look forward to stopping him?
Well, when you look at a Skylar Perry, I know him also well being out of New Orleans, but you're talking about the most experienced quarterback in our conference that played a lot of SWAC football games. So we know that he's very, very knowledgeable of the conference, very knowledgeable of their scheme that they run. But he's a guy that can beat you with his arm as well as his leg. And then, you add that extra ingredient to it. He can beat you with his knowledge of the game. So they're very challenging for us. We do know that. But, they got some other guys in there when you talk about Mark Evans, probably one of the best left tackles in all of college football. So we understand what he brings to the table. And then you got the running back that can very, very well run the football. But you're talking about a good football team that's well coached. So it's a lot of things. But when you have a leader such as a Skylar Perry, that gives you a great opportunity.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to the matchup this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Doc.
Next question goes to IC Morrell.
Coach Dooley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All good, sir. Thank you very much. Look, what challenge have you faced in leading the traditional power like Southern and trying to return the program to championship contention?
Well, you say turn the program around. I thought the program was in great hands. You just got to have them to take on who you are and what you want to accomplish scheme-wise, offensive, defensive, as well as special team. And I thought the young men did a great job. Just didn't play our best. We didn't execute at a high level, I should say, our last outing. So I think we just look to get better this week right here and continue to move on and get better as the season move on.
Just looking at a few of your offensive stats, you got a guy, McCray, and it seems like he's a running pass threat because he's throwing for 101 passing yards a game and he's rushing for 73 yards a game. What things are you trying to do to maybe give him an opportunity to pass the ball more, or do you want to rely on the run a little bit more?
Well, the game dictates a lot. We always going to take what the defense gives us. We do understand that right there. And, for the most part, when you look at some stats right now, I think they're kind of off because of our first outing, what we had to do, what we didn't do. He only played one quarter. So when you take a look at that, but I think he's a guy that can very well throw the football as well as run the football. So I think we try to spread it around. It's no one thing no one opportunity for one guy. I think we are spread offense, and we're going to push the ball up the field, no question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Jim Klein-Peter.
Yeah, Coach, the nature of that game, that loss to Texas Southern, did you feel like your team was a little bit stung, embarrassed, or surprised, or anything like that? And was there any psychological tricks you wanted to try this week to help them to forget it or put it in the past?
No, I don't believe in tricks, but I will tell you this here: we dropped that game off already because we can't allow Texas Southern to beat us twice. So we move forward. That game is behind us. We're not going to look in the rearview mirror because you can't move forward. We're looking in the rearview mirror. So we can't get that game back. It's a whole new game right now. We're facing a very, very good University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff football team. So that's our focus is on University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff right now.
Currently taking questions for Coach Dooley with Southern University. Next question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach. The first couple of weeks of the season have been interesting for you guys. You play a lower division school the first week, then you play at LSU, and then you play Texas Southern. Do you have quite the gauge on where your team is from this standpoint based on the schedule you guys played so far?
Yeah, I do. I know who we are, and I just know what we need to do to be successful. I think, within a season, you're going to have sudden change, and that's what we pride ourselves on, being ready for sudden change. That means whoever comes up, we have a lot of cliches that we use, spot the ball. So it doesn't matter who we play. We just got to be the best version of ourselves, who Southern University can be. So that's the thing that we work on, us getting better each game.
As a quick follow-up, but this being your first year in the program in its current state, what signs are you kind of looking for that determine that the team has kind of like taken on the culture you're trying to establish at Southern?
Well, we're with these guys every day. We practice with these guys, so we understand who we are. When you come out of camp, you got to have that identity already as to who you are and what you want to accomplish. So we do have that, and there's nothing that we have to do to make us a different football team. We just got to continue to play Southern University football for 60 minutes.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach Dooley, Southern University?
Hey, Coach, Kyle Mosley here. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Now, Pine Bluff gave up over 300 yards rushing. Do you guys believe you can take advantage of that?
Well, we look at a lot of different things. You got to know that when you talk about a coach such as Doc Gamble, you know that he's going to take care of his business, some things, some corrections that are already fixed. So, a lot of guys look at what other teams have done, and we do understand that a lot of people, it's a copycat league when you look at a lot of things, but we want to do what we do best. I think we're a balanced football team, so we want to be able to do both. So it's just a matter of just the game plan that we put together, not what they did last game, because each team takes on a different game plan than who you play against, because everybody's very, very good within this conference. So Alcorn rushed the ball well, and they didn't move away from it. So that was some of the things. But you got to understand, when you got a team like Pine Bluff that can run the football as well. So they're definitely going to want to stop the run as well.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Dooley, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Next up, we'll be joined by Texas Southern head coach Clarence McKinney. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach McKinney, as always, we appreciate you taking some time to join us. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing at UTSA.
Yeah, I went over to San Antonio to play UTSA, test program. Feel like our guys played with great effort and energy, and gave ourselves some opportunities to make some plays, and both offensively as well as defensively. Played well in spurts. We just got to find more consistency to be able to win those games.
Appreciate those comments, Coach McKinney. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach McKinney.
Good morning, Dr. Cavill.
Thank you. Wanted to ask about the UTSA matchup. First half, your team was able to play, make plays, both offensively and defensively, and be right in the game in terms of going in at halftime 21-17. Second half, it kind of got away from you, still were able to make some plays. Talk about how challenging it is to stay with the team when you talk about moving from FCS to FBS.
It's very challenging, especially, the biggest difference is FBS is the interior line. And so for our guys, offensive line wise, defensive line wise, to go to UTSA and compete and give ourselves an opportunity to
come in.
To really, we feel like, if we make a play or two here and there, we got a chance to win the game. And so really proud of those guys and the way they competed. But yeah, that was the biggest difference, that the interior guys.
Talking about this week, you have your first home contest in regard to Alabama State. I know it's a welcome sight to get back home, if you would, get off that road, off that bus, planes, what have you. Talk about getting prepared for Alabama State. Obviously, have a talented quarterback coming in themselves, overall team. Talk about that matchup. What things do you look to get done in it?
Very talented quarterback. Offensively, they do some things from a spread standpoint, which we got to try and make them one-dimensional. Defensively, a very stout defense. There's a lot of talent throughout that defensive unit. We just got to find a way to move the ball, score some points, and then keep those guys out of the end zone. It's going to be a tough task, but we're excited about being back at home. It's our first home game, as you stated. So hopefully we'll have some space from being on the road.
No problem. Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach. One of the positives I think you possibly can take away from the game on last Saturday was a running game. Ja'Cory Howard and Ladarius Owens, they combined to help you guys rush for 230 yards. Just talk about their production this season and how hopeful you think they can carry over that into this week's game.
Yeah, those two guys, productive. They've been productive all season for us, really for the last couple of seasons. But we feel like if we are able to run the ball, then it opens up a lot of things offensively for us to be able to do. And so as long as our O-line, our running backs are doing a really good job with our run game, it opens up a lot of other things offensively from an explosive play standpoint. So hopefully we can keep it going. We like to run the ball. We like to throw the ball. We like to be, pretty balanced in both areas, and see those guys have really good run games versus UTSA.
As a quick follow-up, how encouraging was it to see your offensive line play the way it did? You guys held the ball for 38 minutes, a little bit more than that. And that is due in large part to your offensive line being able to control line of scrimmage. How important is that going to be moving forward for your line to keep doing that?
It's very important for us. I mean, as long as we got the ball, the other team can't score. But what we learn from that and what we take away from it is that we're improving as an offense. So we've rotated some guys in and out, and we think we've kind of found a good group of 5 that works really well together.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Coach McKinney with Texas Southern.
Hey, Coach, this is Kyle. How you doing?
Doing.
What have you seen from Andrew Body from week 1 to week 4, and can you talk about his growth?
Yeah, he's maturing within the scheme. You know, is having played a full year, and not a lot has changed from the scheme standpoint. He's taking ownership. You know, he's showing a lot of maturity, and the way he studies the game, the way he's prepared himself for each game, and so he's of our coaching staff, and he understands exactly what we're trying to get done within those schemes each week, and so it allows him to relax and play more freely.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Coach McKinney with Texas Southern.
Andre, if it's okay, my raised hand is not working. Coach McKinney, I was at the game on Saturday, and I don't think UTSA was prepared for a team that was playing as fast as they were. They hadn't been in that situation all season, especially in that first quarter when you all finally got things rolling, and your running game was pretty much gashing them whenever you all wanted to. Just talk about the quick start. You always talk about fast start. That was a quick start on Saturday against a FBS team.
Yeah, we started fast, but we didn't quite have the start that we like. Because we like to finish those opening drives with touchdowns, and I think we finished it with the punt. And so kind of disappointed in that part of it. But, you know, our goal is to start fast, whether it's offensively or defensively, and win that first series. And unfortunately for us, we didn't win the series, the opening series this past weekend.
Talk about the play of Body and Jacoby. They were pretty much mainstays in doing what they, as folks say, doing what they do, offensively moving the ball down the field.
Yeah, we depend heavily on Andrew and Jacory as well as Ladarius and our offensive line. You know, we feel like if those group of guys are executing, everyone else has to raise his level of play up. And we hold Andrew and Jacory and Ladarius to a higher standard because those guys are the guys that have the experience. They've been there before. They know what it takes, and they know what we're up against.
In the UTSA's post game, coach mentioned about you all were the first team that had held a possession, ball possession, more in a game against them this season. I see a little smile on your face, but that's a FCS playing against the FBS. That tells you you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, well, we didn't win the game, so we're kind of disappointed in that aspect. We feel like we left a lot of plays out there on the field. And just some things we need to clean up to be able to not only compete in those games, but be able to go out and win those games.
All right, Coach. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We've got time for maybe one more question for Coach McKinney with Texas Southern.
Coach, was DeMonto Terrio Anderson held out of most of the game?
No, he actually started the game and played. He's on the rotation with some other guys. He played, you know, quite a bit of plays, just didn't have an opportunity to make the plays that he's used to playing. You know, when you step up a level of FBS football, you gotta be ready to play at your highest level. So the guy he's playing against this past weekend was really good, and it was a battle just to see those two, you know, from snap the whistle each play. But yeah, DeMonterio started the game and finished the game as well.
Okay, great. Hope to see you this weekend. Good luck.
Thank you.
Coach McKinney, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll be joined by Coach Sanders with Jackson State. Once again, for all of our media participants, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get questions in the queue for Coach. Once you are called upon, please feel free to ask your question, and please keep your lines muted if you are not actively asking a question. Just a quick reminder, please limit your questions to 2 questions, 1 initial question and a follow-up. If we have time, we'll circle back to get more questions answered. Good morning, Coach Sanders.
How you doing, boss? I'm sorry.
Great.
Working, they got me hustling again. How's everyone doing?
Doing great, Coach. And as always, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Coach Sanders, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Mississippi Valley State.
Oh, first of all, Coach Dancy is doing a phenomenal job. They're a friend of mine. What he's doing with that program, I know the record was not indicated, but let me tell you something, man. That man is coaching his butt off, and they had us on the ropes in the first half, and they played really well. I'm happy. I'm pleased with the coaching staff, with the team in all facets, offense, defense, as well as special teams. And even the outpouring of love we're receiving from the fans and the attendance as well. We started off a little slow, but went in the locker room and somehow got it right and came back to play the type of ball that we're capable of playing. Defensively, I think we're ranked number 1, 2nd in passing, 8th in rushing defense. Tied for 1st in TDs and 7th in takeaways. Offensively, we're 2nd in completion percentage. I don't know how we're 2nd. 4th in first downs gained, 3rd in passing offense, 2nd in scoring offense. And quarterback should be mentioned upon the Heisman race. That's up for you guys. And I want you guys to push those pens, push those computers, and do what you can, because you put his numbers up next to the guys in Power 5s, he's doing as much or more than they're doing right now. So when they start talking about Heisman's, which I saw before the previous game, I got a little upset that they didn't mention us, period. And then they mentioned what Shador is doing. Forget that he's my son and his last name is Sanders. Any other man doing what he's doing and accomplishing what he's accomplishing this far, this early on, deserves the recognition. It's all. Thank you for allowing me to have a dad moment. Now let's get to business.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach Sanders. First question goes to Charles Bishop.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
How you doing?
Coach, I wanted to ask a little bit about some of the pieces that we have not seen, especially going into.
I don't know what I did. Go ahead, Charles. I can hear you.
Yeah, going into the bye week, and you alluded to it in the post-game press conference, but talk about how excited you are about some of the pieces that we have not seen on this team. You mentioned all the accolades, but it's still some injuries here in the first part of the season where we haven't seen a few players.
We have a couple of defensive linemen that you're most definitely going to see back. One was injured. True was injured in the spring. You're going to see him. He came over from Florida State. You may see Shiloh when we get back against Alabama State as well. And I think Travis may be a week behind that because we just want to hold him to make sure he's the Travis that you saw in the spring game. So our defense has accomplished some phenomenal things with 3 of his starters out. So we can't wait to get them back. And offensively, we need this for guys to heal up a little bit, especially the line. But shoot, we have a rotation of 7 players playing on the line, rotating in and out, doing a phenomenal job. 3 of our backs, we have a 3-headed monster, and the receiving core could go toe-to-toe with any Power 5 in the country.
Hey, Coach, follow-up question. You mentioned all the accolades, but what is the theme going into this open week in terms of this team not resting on their laurels?
We got to finish what we start. We got to finish what we started. And I mean that in a just as it's stated. We got to finish what we started and continuation of to dominate. I love that a team could score 49 points and they're not satisfied. I love it that they're angry, that they're coming to me on the sidelines saying, Coach, our bad, we got this. You know, I hate that dude name, my bad. I hate that dude. It's in my bad. I can't stand my bad. But they understand that. But they understand what the commitment to excellence is, and we have not arrived at that point yet, and we're still searching it. We're still chasing it, and I love it 100%. You wouldn't believe the number of players come to me throughout the game or after the game saying, Coach, we're going to clean that up. We're going to clean that up. Like, we just won. We just scored 49 points. No, Coach, we were garbage in the first half. We're going to get that right. That's the attitude they have, and I love it.
Sure thing. Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, my man.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. How's it going, Coach Brown?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Wanted to ask you about the bye week or break that you have for your team. I know some programs do a 3-4 game analysis. Do you do that, or do you do something different?
What do you mean by that? Tell me what, I don't understand.
Like, I've had some coaches talk about they take the extra week to go back and look at their team in terms of things that they want to see you to get done, things that may be doing well and things of that nature. Do you do that?
We do that on Sundays.
Okay.
We may be the only team, maybe not, in college football. We usually work on Sundays. Right after we go kick some butt, we're out there on the practice field working. Now, the kids that played over 60%, they stretch and they come out and they sit out. But that's how we develop the younger players. That's how we develop the other players. They must compete on that Sunday and go at it. Now, we're not padded up and we're not hidden, but we have helmets on and we going at it. And it's a full speed. It's not a walk-through or talk-through, because we want to develop those players. Rarely do you go through a game and not see any injuries or any nicks or whatever. So some of those guys that are nicked up, now we got to get that guy ready for the next week, because this guy is clearly nicked up and he may not play. So that's the way we develop some of the younger players on Sundays. But we don't break it down to every 4 games, and no, we're trying to dominate every game, every practice.
Makes sense.
Yes, sir.
In terms of recruiting, one thing you talked about earlier, that you're always recruiting. It's always on within the parameters, obviously, at NCAA. With the open week, is there any more level to that, or is that just part of what your program is doing, always being on in terms?
We don't turn off. Our social media don't turn off. My social don't turn off. All that's forms of recruiting. Right, me talking to you all right now. Every week we do this. One of my sound bites go not viral, but it go everywhere we need it to go. So that's a form of recruiting, and we appreciate that from you all. So I think we had a few big time recruits in this past weekend. I know I shook a plethora of young men's hands, and then some big boys looked like they could really help the program. So we're always recruiting. It does not stop.
Point well taken. Thank you, Coach Brown.
Thank you, sir.
Next question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned at the top that you think Shedeur should be considered for the Heisman. Steve McNair was the last SWAC quarterback to even make the ceremony. That was like 30 years ago. And the argument is going to be the competition that he plays against in terms of like him being considered. So how would you combat an argument like that if someone was like, well, Shedeur can't be the Heisman Trophy winner because he plays in the FCS?
That's not true. You got to understand, when you look at a player and you look at his skill set, it don't take you long to understand this kid could play at any level. It does not take you long to identify Travis Hunter could play anywhere he wanted to play. Shedeur could have went anywhere he wanted to go, and assess it by that nature. We got to stop that foolishness and start really giving players what they're due. I'm likening it to a kid that we go and see that he's a phenomenal street ball player and he can flat out ball, and you telling me he can't hoop with the best at Rutgers Park. Okay, he can. I think we know he can. I think some of those individuals that would have gotten the opportunity for that next level that have come out of Rutgers Park could have been in the NBA. It's not a fact that he can't play in the NFL. See, that's where it gets tricky. So you can't tell me he can play in the NFL, but he's not good enough to be in the Heisman running. That's a lie. That's a lie. So that's where I got you. So if he's good enough to play in the NFL, he's good enough to be in the Heisman ballot. The Heisman is based straight off production. And we're playing against a level, they're playing against a level. Shoot, we just happen to be dominant. We just happen to be dominant. You can't say the level is less. We're just dominant right now.
And a quick follow-up to that, how much does it help that your program and himself get so much exposure to maybe combat some of those stereotypes of, well, he can't be the Heisman Trophy winner?
Well, that's what we're trying to, that was the plan day one, to give our kids, not just our kids at Jackson State, but all HBCU exposure. And that's what we're doing. You all have more exposure than you had. I think you guys are garnishing more clicks than you had normally. BP before Prime, so we, that was good. God, that was good. And I love it. But the exposure is what we all need to get to the next level. If we don't have exposure, none of us are going to make it to the next level.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
We'll try to get 2 more questions in quickly. First one goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach Prime, I hope you and the fellas are well. When you look at people coming home, so to speak, back in the day, it was Doug and Mr. Shack, and everybody went HBCU. For a while, everybody went Power 5. Now guys are coming home, quality coaches, quality players. Just talk about the talent level and everything we have in the HBCU game, so to speak.
We have a tremendous amount of talent. Every week I see guys that can play in the NFL, and you can't tell me I don't know what I've seen. I was in the NFL for 14 years, another 14, 15 working television. So that's 30 years pretty much. And I know what I see. Not only, let me tell you something, this is what everybody misses. We focus on the darn players so much, we forget about the coaches. It's coaches in the SWAC that can coach their butt off. And I want to ask them, what is up? Do you not want to go to another level? Do you not want to get to the NFL? Do you not want to go to a Power 5? Like, what is up? Tell me, because I think some of these coaches are phenomenal. They could dial it up with the best of them, and they're really good. And they're working with less resources than many coaches are working with. So not only are they at a disadvantage, but still they keep the same passion, the intensity, the want and desire. I wish to God that they could be blessed to be promoted or given the resources, one or the other. I just hope they haven't lost the passion for the dream to go to the next level as well. I truly do. Because I've never seen it. I've never seen it. You guys told me a few weeks ago, there has never been a coach from the HBCU that have gone Power 5. I couldn't believe that. That angered me for a minute. I couldn't believe that, because the coaches are surely good enough.
Coach Prime, defensively, Shiloh, and also Mr. Hunter, and guys are getting healthier every day. People want to see, your I love defense, but just talk about guys getting healthy and when we can expect to see some of those gentlemen back there in the secondary.
Well, I love is the #1 total defense. I love that. Yeah. Without Shiloh, without Travis, and without you may help me with I'm crazy with names, with all the names going through my paper. Call it Big True from Florida State, the defensive tackle that we acquired in the offseason that sustained a leg injury in the spring. But that's 3 starters. Those are 3 starters that's not on our defense. And you got to understand what we're accomplishing right now without those 3 starters is phenomenal. So it's going to be, and those are 3 playmakers. Those are ball getters, run stoppers up front, but the other 2 are ball takers. And Shiloh has a certain swagger, and Travis is a shut down corner. So I cannot wait to see all of that culminate together with our offense, with our special teams. It's going to be a beautiful thing in Alabama State.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach Prime. Enjoy your bye week, my man.
Amen.
Coach Sanders, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you. Hugh, is that you, baby? Hey, I love you, partner. I love you, man. You know that.
Happy to be joined by Coach Hugh Jackson with Grambling State. Good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Obviously, we know you're there in Dallas for the State Fair Classic press conference, so we do appreciate the time. Coach, if you would, please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Bethune-Cookman.
Well, obviously, we're disappointing in the outcome. We didn't play as well, and obviously Bethune-Cookman, I thought, played extremely well that day. But I thought I saw some improvement in our football team just overall. I think we're heading in the right direction. There's still some things where we're working through each and every day, but I think we're building. And I think our guys are starting to truly get and understand the environment that I'm creating for them. And I think we're looking forward to playing again this week in the State Flair Classic.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Jackson. First question goes to Kendrick Marshall.
How you doing, Coach?
Good, doing great.
Yeah, so the first half of the season, you guys have got off the strong starts in the first half, but kind of tapered off a bit in the second half of games. Have you identified, or your staff identified, the reasons for those struggles in the second half?
Oh, absolutely. I think, again, we need to just continue to execute at a high level. At times, we've had some things there, especially last week, that we didn't capitalize on. I'm sure if anybody watched the tape, they would say, wow, they had some chances. We can't turn the ball over. Obviously, we've had an issue with penalties all year. So we got to continue to do the things to stop doing the things that stop us from being successful week in and week out.
Okay, as a quick follow-up to that question, the offense has only scored 13 points in the second half this season. What are you guys looking to do in order to try to increase the productivity from that side of the ball?
No doubt. I think what we got to do is just kind of what I just mentioned. You know, we got to make those plays when they're there. For whatever reason, it seems like it's gotten a little harder to make those plays in the second half when they're showing themselves. And so the quarterback got to do a great job of taking care of the ball. We got to catch it better. And again, we got to stay away from this penalty issue that's plagued us all year.
All right, thank you.
Next question goes to Matt Bielenson.
Morning, Coach. How are you doing?
Doing great.
I want to talk to you about Devontae Kincaid. You know, I was talking to him earlier this week and learned a lot about kind of his journey to Grambling and the hiring process of kind of why you selected him for the job. And I want to take you back to maybe what you remember about when you hired him. He said that you guys possibly met at a coaching convention and he gave like a detailed PowerPoint presentation or something like that. Just kind of walk me through, I guess, the first time you interacted with him.
No, absolutely. Well, I knew about Devontae way before the clinic. Obviously, he was the last quarterback one at Grambling. And so he's been talked about in several circles that I've been in. But to see him present about quarterback play reminded me of myself when I was young and hungry and coming up and eager and wanting to learn more and grow more. So I saw a guy, I should say, that I could kind of groom and put into a position at a school that he's very passionate about, with some quarterbacks that were young and wanted an opportunity to grow and learn. And it's been great ever since.
You mentioned his work ethic there. That's something that has really stood out. Have you seen someone just throughout your time coaching at multiple different levels with that level of work ethic where, you know, he's been at multiple different stops in his career playing and coaching? I mean, have you seen someone with that level of work ethic?
I mean, there's all kind of guys, you know, who have been in those type of environments and situations where they've come from different walks of life or different opportunities to try to become a big time college coach or a big time NFL coach. So yes, I have. And he has those characteristics.
All right, thank you.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and the G-Men are well. Can you talk a little bit about playing in classics? HBCU games play a lot of classics. This time, you're in Dallas. You talk about the Cotton Bowl and the State Fair Classic, Prairie View, and what this experience is like so far going in.
Well, it's been great. I mean, it's a little different than what I've been accustomed to, because obviously you have to be here for press conferences and you rather be, you know, preparing for the game with your staff. But I understand it's a big deal, and it should be, because it's two really great programs that's going to get a chance to compete against each other. Prairie View is leading our conference right now, and we got a chance and an opportunity this Saturday to come in and play some great football and reclaim what we think is ours. So again, I love it. I'm learning more about these classics, you know, as we go through it, because we played in a couple of them now, and they're really important, and I think they're really special as well.
Coach Jackson, HBCU football, a lot of guys are coming home, so to speak, yourself, Coach Prime, Mr. George, and so on and so forth, from coaching. And then also a lot of players are playing HBCU ball as opposed to Power 5. Can you just talk about guys coming home, so to speak, Back in the day, there was Doug and Shaq. Guys went HBCU, but then we saw a trend where they went Power 5. Now guys are coming home. What are your impressions?
I think they are coming home and welcome home, because I think this is where it all started. And I think Deion, Eddie, myself, Coach McDowell, who I was just here with, several other coaches, Coach Simmons, Coach Maynor, these guys are tremendous football coaches. And I think the players are now seeing an opportunity for them to go play in their backyards at great institutions, earn a college degree, do something worthwhile with their lives, and get a great football experience. So there's no question. I think players are seeing this as a real viable option. It's not just about the Power 5. And I think the more that we can do from a media standpoint to really push that there are tremendous opportunities there, I think there's more players that will come.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
You too.
Last question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coach Jackson, when you talk about the penalties and not being able to score as much on the second half, how challenging is to go into a program and set the culture for foundation about playing all the way through, understanding the history of a program, obviously with the decision to remove the G. How does it all come together in terms of setting what you see as a culture that allow for success moving forward?
Well, I think it all starts, let's just be very transparent, with discipline. And I think it's discipline, not just on the football field, but off the football field. And I think the great players that have come before the young men that are there today that wore that G on their helmet, that those guys set a standard. There's a standard that you have to live up to as a Grambling State University football player. And we want to uphold that and make it even greater. And I think it's so important that we all understand the history and tradition of Grambling State University, that G does stand for greatness. And so I think it's something that you earn. I don't think it's given. I think you earn it. And I think you earn it as a football team. I think when we're doing what we should be doing, both, on the field, off the field, how we go about our business, then we can really say that we're representing the university the right way. But these young men get it. I have not had one player question me about it. They want to do everything they can to earn the right to wear that G and wear it the right way. And I think that's satisfying for me.
In terms of this Prairie View matchup, what do you see them getting done on the various sides of the ball?
Prairie View is an extremely good football team. I think Coach McDowell's done a great job. They're playing really aggressively defensively. They fly around. They make plays on their defense. They make plays on their offense. They're not a team. They're a well-disciplined team. They don't get a ton of penalties. They don't turn the ball over. So they've done some really good things, early in this season. And again, we got to go play our best football this week to have an opportunity to beat them.
Thank you, Coach Jackson.
Thank you.
Coach Jackson, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speak to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next up, happy to be joined by Coach Bubba McDowell with Prairie View A&M. Good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Coach, we appreciate you take some time to join us, especially on a day like today. We know you have the press conference there for the State Fair Classic, so thank you for taking some time to join us.
Yes, sir.
Said, Coach, if you could, 1 second, I'm having an audio issue. Give me 1 second, Coach. Okay, sorry about that, Coach. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Alabama State.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let me just say I'm so proud of these young men. We had a lot of obstacles this past weekend that probably most teams or students would have just folded. But fortunately for us, these young men came out. They took. They did what we asked them to do, just stay focused and worry about things that they can control and not about things they can't control. Again, I want to just say a special thanks to a commissioner and to Eddie Robinson Jr. for just allowing us time to get there. We got there late and giving us enough time, at least adequate time to warm up on the field before all of our coaches that were able to get there. And I truly appreciate you guys for that. But again, we just came out ready to go, and we played well. We played okay. We didn't play well, but considering the circumstances, I'm very proud of these young men. We came out and and did what they're supposed to do. Eddie and the team, they bounced back, had the momentum going in that fourth quarter, and we kind of got with the guys in the fourth quarter and hey, the game is not over with. Let's go ahead and try to finish up this thing the right way, and try to get out of here with a victory. And we did what we were supposed to do in the end. We came out with a victory. But yeah, they was closing the gap real fast.
Comments, Coach McDowell. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good afternoon, Coach McDowell.
What's up, Doc?
I'm good. Thank you for your time. You talked about the adversity. You had adversity, obviously, before the game, it sounds like, and there was some adversity in the game as well in terms of them being able to come back, plays going up, some plays going your way, some not going your way on various sides of the ball. What does that say about your team that understands the maturity of playing through 60 minutes or playing through a game, no matter how you start coming into the game, even pregame?
Yes, sir, and you're right. That's what we've been preaching all year long. Again, just being able to start and finish, at the same pace. I'm again very proud of them. Bouncing back because the momentum had kind of squished a little bit for us, and I say for Alabama State side. So we were just able. Good thing we were just able to come together, and hold them off, and get that victory. But again, it's about these young men coming together, throughout the course of the week. And the thing that we've been trying to instill to them as coaches, you got to be together, not only during game day, but throughout the course of the week. And they've been doing a really, really good job of doing that. And I think this is I know this is one reason why they're playing really well together. Even when adversity hits, they know how to overcome most of it, which is really good.
Follow-up question is about your team's discipline in a lot of ways. And sometimes you see that discipline come out in terms of penalties or the lack of penalties. Team has been very strong in terms of playing and not accumulating these penalties that could hurt your team. Talk about how you can fundamentally either coach that or recruit that in terms of players, get through that, and how that will help you against Grambling in the State Fair Class.
Absolutely. You can do both. You got to recruit it. Again, you go out, the young man that you're recruiting, you get a background check on him, knowing what he's about, know what his family's about. That helps, as well as, when things happen in practice and they're not doing it the right way, then you punish them, making sure that, hey, you know what, we're not accepting this. And, you punish them at the end of practice. So they know, hey, you know what, going into the course of the game, I'm going to remember this as much as possible, because now, coach is going to make us run, going to make us back crawl, whatever it is that we do at the end of practice. And also, again, it's just building character, man. Because again, situations as we talk about all the time, it's going to go up, down. It's going to be some good moments, bad moments. How we overcome those moments. Again, it just depends on you as an individual and as a team. On how you're going to do it, and we've been doing a really good job at it thus far. Penalties has not been a lot, but the ones that has been happening, unfortunately for us, it hasn't cost us yet. But we've been doing a lot of not so good stuff at the wrong time, and we're trying to minimize that going forward. And again, it's a great team like Grambling, team that's NFL type offensive style, young, talented, can throw the ball, can run the ball. Good defense, a lot of man-to-man stuff. So we got to be on our P's and Q's with this team coming in. In order for us to do it, they have to start this week in practice.
Thank you, Coach McDowell. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach McDowell, I hope you and the gentlemen are doing well. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you doing?
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about this matchup? You're looking at the SWAC West, Prairie View, and Grambling State. This is a big game, the Cotton Bowl, the pageantry. It's got all the bells and whistles, and this is a big time, the west side of the SWAC, if you will.
Absolutely. Big time game, you know, it's on the west side, a game that we definitely have to have. And again, we know that coming into this game, we're going to have our hands full. I mean, again, as I said earlier, they're young, they're fast, they're talented. And again, they're running something different than what we normally used to seeing and with the NFL type style that Coach Jackson has put it in with these young men. So for us, it's going to be how well we tune in to practice this week, you know, and hone in on our own skills and ability, you know, to see things, to see what they're doing and what we can do to stop these guys. Again, this is different from what we've been seeing with the NFL type packages coming in, but I do believe that we can, you know, our kids do what they're supposed to do. We should be able to come in and have a pretty good game. Again, it's a team like this, you know, we talk about mistakes. We definitely got to we got to be mistake free going into this game as much as possible. And I've always said that, you know, the team that comes into a game making the least mistakes is probably going to be the team that wins it.
Coach McDowell, back in the days, we all went to HBCUs. Then there was a trend where a lot of people went to Power Fives. Now people are coming home, so to speak. Can you just talk a little bit about being a part of that trend as far as NFL guys and players, and the best players are in the SWAC and in HBCU? You know, guys have an opportunity to play wherever, but a lot of guys are coming home. Just talk a little bit about what you see so far.
And I love it. You're right, JH. I mean, I love it to see these young men starting to see again that, you know, they can get to the next level from HBCU. Again, it don't have to be a Power Five or a lot of the big power, you know, big PWO. They have to understand that, you know, we have good coaches down there in the SWAC or MEAC, all this. I mean, again, as I tell guys, it's all about you coming down. No matter where you're at, you gotta perform. You gotta put the efforts in practice. Again, if you're doing well in practice, it's gonna lead up into game time. You know, and to see these young men again coming back home, I think this HBCUs are gonna get bigger and better as we go forward. And again, I mean, it's good to see that because again, you know, Deion came in and did a job on HBCU where again, I'm so grateful. I'm pretty sure a lot of head coaches now are grateful as well. I mean, we needed someone to come in and spark that, you know, and what better time to do it than now. And so again, he can't get them all. So, but again, he opened up that door for us, and as coaches and as defensive, offensive staff, assistant coaches, we got to go out and do our due diligence, you know, and talk to these young men now that they're willing to talk to us.
Thank you, sir. Good luck this week in Dallas.
Thank you.
Coach McDowell, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. This concludes our media session for Monday, September 26th. We'll get the Zoom link processed and sent out here momentarily. As always, thank you for your participation. Look forward to speaking with each of you again next week. Have a great day.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Doc.